Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dontae, Kansas City Nightmare Harris, here for the August 14th edition of Tech Habit Weekly. Today, I have our producer, rather, Terrell Clark, joining us today. Bob Roach is actually going to be gone on vacation for a little while, so that's why Terrell's going to fill in for his spot today. So we're going to cover a lot of different topics today. Of course, we're going to have Apple, Android news. We got things about Facebook. We've got Hyperloop updates and things like that. So welcome to Tech Habit Weekly. For those of you, if it's your first time here, this is the only place where you can have a habit without a 12-step program. And once again, I'm Dontae Harris. Terrell Clark's here today, and we're going to get right into it with the first story. So, Terrell, why don't you just kick us off with the first story?
Last week, a source notified All Things D that the next iPhone would be announced September 10th, actually. Now, they didn't give any details of what else would be announced, whether it would be the next iPhone, an iPhone 5S, iPhone 5C, or what have you. Either we could possibly see an iPad Mini with Retina display. I mean, what do you think that's going to be announced?
I mean, number one, if this event is true, and if it's going to happen here on September the 10th, which is coming up pretty soon, I think that Apple has a lot to announce. There's still a lot of speculation, a lot of debate going on with the iPhone 5C, rather. And, of course, if they were going to make an event, of course it would be the iPhone 5S. There's been really the talks in between the iPhone 5S has been kind of lax and really minimal, because there's been a lot of rumors for other things, of course, the things that we already know about, like iOS 7, OS X Mavericks, things like that. So with the iPhone 5S, it's kind of taking a back seat as of right now. But definitely, you have to think about last year's event. They announced on September the 12th what they were going to do for their upcoming events, and then there was pre-orders that were taken on the 14th, and then they were actually being shipped out on the 21st of September. So right now is actually a good time. So this event may be true. In my opinion, I feel like it is. But you're correct about the iPad Mini with Retina displays. A lot of things we've been rumored about, and I've also seen an article about Samsung apparently making that particular panel for the iPad Mini. It's still speculation right now, and it's still up in the air. But with that event, I would like to see, personally myself, from being a person that has a 2012 Mac Mini, I would like to see a new Mac Mini update, or to hear news of if they're going to actually still carry the Mac Mini. I'm not sure. Maybe we'll see a slimmer design, 2 Thunderbolt ports. I'm sure they're going to have USB 3.0 and things like that on it. Maybe some integrated PCIe flash on it, something like that. I'm not sure. But with this event that's going to be held here, hopefully we see a lot of good things, to come out, because we all know that Apple has good products and things that are coming out and things that haven't been reviewed as of late. But I know that they don't like to flood the market at one time. They'll come out with 2 or 3 things like that, and go from there, because we still haven't heard anything about next generation Apple TV. We haven't heard anything about maybe upgrading the MacBook line, things like that. So we'll definitely keep it posted and see what happens here on one place for tech, one place for Apple, and here on Tech Habit Weekly. For anyone that's out there listening on iTunes or watching live right now on YouTube, we can figure out what the speculation will be and just go from there. What do you think?
Apple has not even they haven't commented on this. A lot of people in the tech world are thinking that this leak could actually be done by Apple. That somebody at Apple contacted somebody and had somebody leak out the information to All Things D. Because Apple usually doesn't say anything about their events until about a week before. They don't tell anybody.
Right, absolutely. And we've heard things like this in the past. And you know what? Honestly, it'd be a good market strategy by Apple to put the hype out there. I mean, there already is a lot of speculation in between their products anyway, and at all times. So with that statement, what you said, I could definitely see that happening. I can definitely see them reaching out to a media source and say, hey, put this out there, and just have maybe, I don't want to say an undercover person for Apple, but something like that to say, hey, this is leaked and it's, good information from a good source. So that's something they can put out there to the media outlets, and that's why we're covering this story as of right now, because of the leaked information that we have here. And you can also read this article on One Place for Apple, too, if you guys want to check it out and see what happens here as we're reviewing it as well, and go to there. Now, we're going to go ahead and move over to our next subject. And this next subject is Apple updates the beta.icloud.com site to look more like iOS 7. Now, Terrell, I don't know if you've checked this particular site out. If you have, what are your comments and opinions on this as they're rolling out iOS 7 and finishing up iOS 7? What do you think that does for this particular beta cloud service?
I have checked it out. Apple actually sent me an email and told me that I was in the iCloud beta program, and I think it just tells us that Apple is actually moving forward, and they plan on changing up all of their UI, whether it be the iPhone, the iPad, even with their iCloud services.
Okay. Now, I saw some things that were in that particular document, such as having keynote numbers and pages also in there, and I thought that was a good addition to there because being able to integrate those things over cloud services is going to be very huge. Think of people that have different businesses and use the numbers app and pages and things like that, and be able to access your content over iCloud. I think would be absolutely perfect without having to use a service such as like Log Me In or something like that. What if you had your iPad and you're on the go, and whatever you edit on your document on pages and numbers that flips over into your iCloud? That would be a great integration with this. And yes, right now it's still a beta, and of course iOS 7 isn't fully released yet. They're still in their betas, and there may still become one more beta, maybe two more if will coming up soon, because we got a beta last week, so we'll see what happens with that, and then we'll maybe see some Mavericks integration, things like that are coming up very soon with this particular beta cloud service. I actually checked myself, and I had the same deal. I got a email from Apple and said that I was available for that beta program, and I checked, and yeah, you're right, it looks just like it is here on One Place for Apple, and it's great. I mean, I can tell that they're just taking their time and thinking about what the consumer really wants with these products. And a person like myself, I want my services everywhere. Basically, when I leave my house, I want my computer coming with me. No matter how much storage and how many things I have, I want to take all that with me in the palm of my hand and in my mobile devices and tablets and things like that. I want them all synced together, and that way, if I have a reminder and it's on my phone and my phone's upstairs and I'm sitting down at my Mac Mini, I want to get that reminder right there on my desktop as they have integrated before and integrated now. And I like that. And to be able to edit your documents on the go and on the fly, I think it's perfect. And we're going to see what happens more as this goes on, when this beta becomes a full version here with the iCloud beta that's actually turning into implications of iOS 7 with the whole look and everything like that. So we'll see what happens and what goes on from there. So moving on, I want to figure out basically what's Apple's focus this year. What do you guys think that Apple's going to do coming up with all these product lines and a lot of rumors and speculation and things that are coming out? We already know a few things that are coming out. We know they're getting ready to release a new iPhone because it's time for the release of the new iPhone. There's still rumors of the iPhone 5C. There's still things that we don't know about that I've said before, like the Apple TV, the Mac Mini, maybe updates to the MacBook Pro and MacBook Air and things like that. So I want to know what's going on with that particular subject. Now, one thing that I've noticed is that I don't know if anybody's running OS X Mavericks right now. Of course, right now they released 5 different betas for Mavericks, and I've had finally the pleasure. I was the last one out of the group to be able to jump on to it. It just took me a long time. I was trying to find drives to partition, things like that, but finally I was able to move enough data over to install Mavericks from the DP1. That's developer preview for you guys who don't understand, and was able to see from the ground up of what they were doing with Mavericks. Now, personally, I feel like it is rock solid from the very beginning, from the DP1, and now that we're up to DP5, everything seems to just flow very well. And I've been having different things, like I didn't know that in the Maps application that's right there on your dock, you can go to Maps, type in some directions. Say you're going to look for a Starbucks that's in your area. Well, you can go ahead and find that on your computer, type it in, get the directions. Well, if you don't have time to, figure it out and try to write it down or something, well, there's a share button. Well, with the share button, you can click and take that. And if you have an iPhone 5 or an iPhone with iCloud service, basically, you can click that and have the directions sent right to your phone. I thought that was a very good implication on their operating system, and with me running an iPhone 5 with iOS 7 beta on it, it worked just fine. As soon as I sent it, it jumped straight to my phone. I thought it was very great. Now, here's one thing that I don't know about is having OS X Mavericks running on a laptop. Now, I know, Terrell, you and Bob have it running on your guys' laptops. Tell me something about that. I mean, I've heard that you've been getting outstanding battery life. Let me know about that and let the people and the listeners know about that.
Yeah, I've been running. I just bought. Me and Bob actually both got a 2010 white MacBook on the same day, and we both been running Mavericks on it. And I have noticed amazing battery life out of it. Even being over 3 years old, I'm able to get at least 6 hours of battery life out of it easily. And that has just amazed me. If I was running Mountain Lion, I wouldn't be able to get near that much out of it.
Right. Now, how do you think battery life pertains to different customers out there in the market? Because of course, no one wants to be tethered to a cord. But how important do you think this operating system will be for the mobile community of people running, like you said, a MacBook or a MacBook Pro or a MacBook Air off the battery?
I think it's very important. I think it's the number one thing that people look for in a product. They want amazing battery life. They don't want to have to plug it into the wall every hour. If you had a phone, you don't want to have to charge it halfway through the day.
Right. Now what you're saying, yes, I agree with you 100%. I mean, I'm the same way. I don't like to charge my products, halfway during the day. And number one, I'm not sure if anyone would like to do that. But now also with the lower power consumption that's coming from these Haswell processors and things like that, they're going to get some better battery life as well by clocking them lower. So with them getting higher processing speed and performance, you can still clock them lower to save battery life. And there's a good combination with that and the OS with 10.9 Mavericks to save that battery life, and that keeps those things running just that much longer. And there's a chart here that I saw, and you can actually look at this on our website here on One Place for Apple to show you exactly some of the battery life that have been tested, and the things it's a before and after on a time scale basis on a 12-hour day to show you how fast and how long things will last and drain. And this is all on normal usage there. And for anyone that's out there wondering, how they actually implement those things in between the operating system and the hardware, that's how they work hand in hand. Is the processor has a certain clock speed and processing power and things like that, and they also clock them lower, so you might see more 2.2 gigahertz and 2.0 gigahertz processors now, even with quad core and 8 threads and things like that. And with the implication and combination of OS X Mavericks with the better battery life being implemented in the system, it helps out with overall battery performance throughout the life of your product. And like you said, Terrell, it's huge for you, it's huge for me. I don't see anyone else thinking that this is a bad idea, especially when they take older MacBooks. Like you said, you have a 2010 MacBook, which probably didn't get the greatest battery life. I would guess on normal usage, maybe about 3 hours off the battery, just because I know what it is and what operating systems have been out for that particular 2010 MacBook. So when you go into a higher operating system, you would expect actually more battery power to be used out of it and not to gain battery life. But with this, we see the exact opposite, and I think it's a very good implication. I think it's a very good move by Apple to focus on these things. And moving right along, we're going to actually just get into some brief tech stories. We got some things that's, some things that are Facebook related and Android related and things with travel right now. Right now, I want to turn your attention to a celebrity only Facebook application. Now, basically, Facebook is trying to make an application that's basically for the celebrities only. Now, I'm not sure if this is supposed to be basically like a social network just for celebrities. I'm pretty sure that, of course, most celebrities, they want attention just like anyone else. So, of course, it's going to be public. I'm sure we'll be able, your normal users and people should be able to access this. But the thing is about this particular service is that Facebook has, everyone wants to post their own things on Facebook. I don't know if this is something that the celebrities are trying to make themselves look better. Maybe they're out there to say, hey, we have a premium Facebook service that's just for us, and you guys just have the regular Facebook service. Be that as it may, depending on which direction it does go in, a celebrity-only Facebook app, I think, number one, it wouldn't affect any of us, but the people that are on Facebook that are celebrities, do you think it's better made just to have them chat in between each other, maybe filter out who they want and who they don't want? But in my opinion, celebrities want the most followers and friends as possible. That shows their popularity not only on the regular media that we see on television and the internet, but social media as well. What are your thoughts?
I think you do have a point. The thing is that celebrities have so many followers and they have so many people keeping an eye on what they're doing. I think this would be perfect for them. I think because they could only add their circle, their celebrity friends in here, and they can only see exactly what they're doing and what they're up to and everything. But one thing I must note is not just for, it wouldn't just be for celebrities, it would be for the celebrities of Facebook, and not necessarily like a movie star or something like that. It would be people that have like the most amount of followers or likes on Facebook.
Okay, now that makes more sense. Now, and that was a good deal that you just said. And I'm glad that you said that, because celebrity status doesn't have to be music or television or movies. Rather, I mean, there's celebrities on the internet world that are just on YouTube. I mean, I might be the next celebrity for all I know, and we can see Kansas City Nightmare here on on Tech Habit Weekly. Who knows? I don't like exactly that type of attention, but other people may like that. And like you said, you can be a celebrity just by, maybe being a YouTuber or celebrities of Facebook and things like that. And I think that's a very good implication for this deal. And then also you have to realize there's a lot of money in things like the National Enquirer and Us Magazine and things like that. So there's going to be a lot of rumors, a lot of speculation, a lot of bad press and good press per celebrity. So I believe this is another way that they can manage it as well too. And maybe they can fire back if someone has a comment, say Lindsay Lohan is fighting with, Tim Cook or something over some issue. I know that probably wouldn't happen, ladies and gentlemen, but just in case it did, Tim Cook could fire back and say, hey, I'll shut your iCloud account down, but, it may be something, maybe we can see more of that. And you know what, it may generate a lot of traffic because you might be able to see the bickering and the fighting and the gossip in between certain celebrities and people that are commenting, almost like Twitter. You see people on Twitter that, different celebrities that comment on each other, Twitter pages and subtweets and things like that. So I think it's a good implication, and I think it's a good application that Facebook is coming out with, and we'll just see what happens in the near future with this particular app.
I think with this app, I think it's Facebook's goal to bring celebrities back to Facebook, because a lot of celebrities have teams running their Facebook. Actually, they're not actually running it themselves.
That's good. So moving right along, more trouble for Google. I love covering stories like this only because, no one's perfect. Every company has a problem. No one's perfect, Apple or Android or anybody else. Well, here's another ongoing issue that we've been having with the Nexus 7. The Nexus 7 has already plagued problems in between the Android community with having GPS problems. And now apparently there's another bug that's come out, and that's going to be a multi-touch bug. Apparently there's different spots on your digitizer on your phone where you can touch, and of course I have my iPhone 5 here. It's not a Nexus 7, so anyway, you can touch different parts of your phone, and it's supposed to simultaneously catch each finger that you are touching with. And apparently they're having very big problems with multi-touch technology on their phones. Now, I don't know if a lot of speculation has been coming from this particular update. They were thinking that it was the cause was Android's over-the-air update that maybe caused it, and other sources just say, "Hey, it's a crap phone," things like that. I don't think it's a crap phone. I think Android does make some quality and solid products, but it's going to be a software issue more than likely on this. But the problem is you keep rolling out more and more and more and more updates for these particular things. People kind of get lost over what Android version they have. Everyone should be running at least some version of Jelly Bean at this particular moment, and the Nexus 7 is no problem with that as well. But the problem is when you keep finding these bugs and get publicized and things like that, the problem is people are going to start shying away from these particular products. I mean, Terrell, what do you think this problem is as far as the multi-touch and the GPS problem? Do you think this is going to hurt the Nexus 7 sales for Android?
It might a little bit. I don't think it will that much though. I don't see it really hurting them all that much because the general public isn't going to know about these problems unless they actually experience it. And it's not like it's happening to everybody. I see it only happening to probably a select few, actually.
Right, and then actually just last week with the particular GPS problem, there was problems that they said that it would disconnect from what you were doing, and even after a reboot, it was a problem with connecting back to the location services that was on there. And hopefully Android and they get this problem fixed because it's going to become a big problem over the air, with their update here. And it says the second most recent over the air update with the build number of JSS15J is the particular problem. They're not pinpointing the exact thing that made it wrong, but of course, with software there's always bugs and developmental things. Right now we're actually showing a video right now of a guy trying to use the multi-touch technology, and we can see that in this video that the points of where his fingers are laying on his Nexus 7 tablet is not very, very functional. I mean, you can see that it was having problems and it was hard to keep up with him and things like that. And you can see right now it thinks that he's touching all over the screen, and that is a huge problem. So he's trying again, and he's going to show you guys with the touch, and see that's a very huge problem. I mean, that's been a problem especially in the Android market and in their OSs. A lot of people have a problem with their scrolling and lag and things like that. That's just another blow to the stomach for Android, and hopefully they'll get this problem fixed, because of course if you have any problem with your OS, you know what, competition is going to just take that much step higher over you in the particular market that you're in the cell phone, the tablet, and mobile operating system market. So moving right along, we're going to go to we're going to kind of switch gears here a little bit. Now, there's been some leaks over the Galaxy Note 3's leaked specs. Now, I don't know if Terrell, if you've seen anything about this particular article or anything like that with some of the specs that are on the Galaxy Note 3, but to just give you guys just a rundown over what it claims to have, it's supposed to have a 5.68-inch display and 3 gigabytes of RAM. Now, report says that it should pack 1.8 gigahertz octa-core Exynos 5420, and it's going to come stock with Jelly Bean 4.3 out of the box. Now that compares to having a 1080p Super AMOLED display for this particular Galaxy Note. Now, a lot of things have been leaking in the past. I can't say that this is true or isn't true, but you have to realize that some people think that this isn't even that great of an upgrade over the Galaxy Note 2. What are your thoughts on this rumored issue over how many of the specs that are coming out?
Well, my question is are these specs, are they going to really sell the phone, or is Samsung actually trying to sell the phone based on specs? And that's actually what I'm seeing here, because I mean, you gotta realize 3 gigabytes of RAM. Do you really need 3 gigabytes of RAM in a phone? But I mean, you could make the argument that 10 years ago we could have said, do you really need 3 gigabytes of RAM in a computer? But and also to note that the Galaxy S, the Note 2 actually only had a 720p screen, and the the Note 3 is said to have a 1080p screen. I see that definitely happening. I don't see why they wouldn't do that, since they did put a 1080p screen in the Galaxy S4.
Right. And then now, based on the U.S. market, now more than likely they're going to be carrying a Qualcomm Snapdragon 800 core quad-core processor, and hopefully it's going to have the multi-carrier 4G LTE coverage and connectivity provided by the RF360 global radio, also made by Qualcomm itself. And with all that, yes, I do believe that you were right that the Note 2 does have a 5.5-inch Super AMOLED screen that boasts a 720 by 1280 pixel across the screen. So it does make sense that they will come out with a 1080p screen with the Galaxy Note 3. It makes sense. I don't know about the RAM, like you said, but like you said, just a few years ago, people questioned about having 3 gigs of RAM in a computer. So why would there be a need to have 3 gigabytes of RAM in a phone or a tablet? I'm not sure. But, as of right now, with things being heavier and heavier loads on things and load times and, people, we just don't like to wait. I'm one of those guys. I like everything to boot as fast as possible. That's why I have solid state drives and everything that I own that can take a solid state drive. Now, this is all speculation, guys. These aren't, this isn't official. This is very unofficial, things like that. But another thing that they were talking about was updating the Galaxy S Pen. And I have a buddy of mine who does have a Galaxy Note, and he has problems with his S Pen. When he goes to touch on certain things, it'll take the cursor and, the point that you want to point is here. It might jump it here. And then you point here and it points there. So maybe that's something that they're going to update with this next build, rather, and we'll still see what the speculation has as of late and in the coming future. So, Terrell, I don't know. When this thing comes out, do you think this will be a huge competitor for the iPad?
For the iPad, no, definitely not. I think it would be a huge competitor to anybody else that's releasing a what I call a phablet, which is a giant phone. Like supposedly HTC is supposed to be launching the HTC One Max to be a bigger version of the HTC One. So I see that being one of their competitors, besides competing within themselves with the Galaxy S4. I really don't see like an iPhone customer or a Windows Phone customer, somebody that's already used to that ecosystem and used to that size phone. I don't see them actually trying to move over to the Galaxy Note 3.
Okay. Now, moving right along, we're going to stay on Android for just one more second. And here's another speculation where people have spotted the Nexus 4 and 7 running the new Key Lime Pie operating system from Android. Now, we all know that Android has toyed around and, did things about the next operating system being called Key Lime Pie. And they've even had little mock-ups and different pictures showing the little Android, laying down next to a piece of key lime pie and things like that. So it's no speculation that it's not going to be called key lime pie. But here's the thing: if they've already seen this thing running on 2 different systems, what do you think that means for maybe iOS 7? Do you think they trying to come out with something close in the near future about that, even though everything right now is still running about 4.3 Jelly Bean right now? What do you think that happens, and what do you think this implements for the mobile operating system market?
I think they have to. I think they have to come out with Key Lime Pie. It's been over a year since Android has seen a major update with their OS. They recently got 4.3, but that wasn't a major update. That was just minor changes within the OS. I see them thinking that they have to do it. I think they may feel rushed to do it because of iOS 7, but I don't think they're really trying to pay too much attention to iOS at this point. They feel that they have the market. I think that's why Samsung didn't feel the need to change the design of the Galaxy S4, because they feel like they're taking over the market. They think that they're gaining market share.
Right.
So they're getting lazy. They're coming out with only a few new features in terms of with Apple trying to come out, trying to step up their game you could say every single year. It seems like Samsung and Google, it seems like they're pulling back a little bit. Is what I feel like.
Correct. I'm with you 100% on that. And honestly, you have to think of, if you are the bigger, heavier fighter in the fight, and if you can knock down the smaller man, you're not going to pull out your best moves. You're just going to pull out your 1-2 punch, and that's about it, and see if you can get a first round knockout. And I believe that's the thing with Android. If they feel like they have the market share and everything, and then if Apple's never going to reach their numbers because there's only one iPhone, you guys have to remember, but there's a million different Android devices. Android is still just an operating system. The iPhone is hardware and software. So with that being said, I can see them getting lazy and relaxed because they're going to almost always have the market share, because they're going to have just more mobile devices out there. That makes sense. Now, this exploit was actually found deep in Chromium, and this is actually Chrome, the Chrome browsers. It's like deep into their skeleton, like deep into their system, with a series have been uncovered with the different devices running different iterations of this particular OS. Now, there's a number of Galaxy S devices that are out there running different variations, like, of course, the Note 2. The Note 2 is actually, associated with a J in front of it for their OS, so to let you know that that's Jelly Bean. Like, right now, the Note 2 should be running the JZ05 4K, and the Nexus 4 and 7 are going to be running like KRS 368 and KRS 365 on their particular hardware. And with this coming out, I'm just not sure if the release date is going to be coming up by this, because like you said, the 4.3 Jelly Bean was just a minor release, some bug fixes and security updates and things like that, and maybe just improve your overall experience with the operating system that's already intact. Now, here at Tech Habit Weekly, we're going to definitely stay close to this particular document to figure out what Android's going to do next with Keyline Pi, because number one, I think it's time for them to come out with something very innovative and very groundbreaking and down to earth, and that'll hook those consumers not just on market share, but maybe get iPhone users to switch over to Android. And we'll stay close to this article as close as possible. And guys, leave us a comment down in the messages below if you guys know anything or want us to cover anything more deeper into this particular document, and we'll go from there. Now, moving right along, we're going to actually put things, and as Bob used to say, switch gears from second to third, and I actually like to drop it into Hyperloop drive and go straight down and figure out what the Tesla CEO of Tesla Motors, Elon, I'm sorry if I'm saying this wrong, I think it's Elon Musk, is talking about his design and the plans for the transportation system of the Hyperloop. Now, on Tech Habit Weekly before, we've already covered this story about the Hyperloop, and there was a lot of speculation at the time. We didn't know how it was going to look, how it was made, but we just know that the SpaceX and Tesla Motor CEO Elon Musk has come up with different plans for this particular system. And now, honestly, it doesn't sound like it's something too far out of Star Trek. It actually sounds like it's something that could be implemented into America and into different countries because of the content that he's brought up with this press event. Now, basically, the way this is going to work is he wants this particular system to be a pneumatic underground system that runs underneath the ground, and it's basically sectioned out. Pretty much it looks like a pod. Basically, it'll have seats running across, and it'll just be a pod where you can sit in and go through supersonic speeds of about 800 miles per hour. Now, basically, this is only going to work better in distances that are further apart, and so shorter distances, they say it won't really help because they won't be able to maintain maximum velocity. So if you want to travel basically, cities that are roughly 900 miles apart and things like that, you can get to those places in a very, very short amount of time, which also jumps into the airplane market. You got to think about commercial flights and, supersonic flights and different Harrier jets and private jets and things like that, and maybe celebrities updating their celebrity only Facebook app maybe flying on. This is going to definitely be a competition for that market, and we're definitely going to see what happens in between this. Now, Terrell, I don't know about you, but I'm a type of person, I hate traffic, but I love to travel. I would love to get on something that where I can get 8 to 900 miles, even further, in a shorter amount of time that it would take a flight. Do you think that once this Hyperloop actually comes into creation and gets rolling, and this system gets dug out and all the bare bones and everything goes through it, do you think that's something that you would use?
Definitely. I could definitely see it as something that I would be using, because I truthfully, I hate to fly. I hate the wait in the long lines and have to check my bags, and it's just a headache. And if there's an alternative way of doing that, and with it being quicker and cheaper, that is a win-win for me, definitely.
Absolutely, and I feel the exact same way. I've said it here on Tech Habit Weekly before. If I could hyperloop to my mailbox, I would. And this is something that it's still, we still don't have the full details of it, and a lot of the details that we do have, we don't really understand yet, because there's going to be a lot of money and a lot of time to implement these things in different stations. I mean, we've already seen that they've approved for a $70 billion rail system that they're going to try to put this in, and it's gonna cost a lot of money, and then it's going to take a long time to perfect, and see if there's going to be errors and bugs and things like that, because you always want to think about, what if there's an accident, what if something happens underneath the ground? How do you get support to that person who's few miles underground but traveling at 700 to 800 miles per hour? So there's always a safety issue. There's always things that you can figure out, and different price points and things why you could always say this shouldn't come about. But if it does, it's definitely going to be a system I'm going to definitely implement and have in my life, to be able to get to different places to put Tech Habit Weekly on location and things like that. So that's just me.
Yeah, one thing I have to note is that Elon Musk is estimating that this will cost only $6 billion to build for the passenger only model. He's estimating $10 billion for the models that would transport people and their luggage across between two cities. Now, that compared to $70 billion for the high-speed rail system that was just approved, I think that's crazy. I think a lot of people are skeptical on how in the world it will be possible for him to do it at this low of a price. One thing he did say, though, in the call that happened earlier this week, he said that he might start it himself and start working on it, but he did say that he wasn't going to finish it or complete it himself. He said that there was no way he had time between SpaceX and Tesla. He is like the busiest man on earth. He's running two companies. He has multiple positions within his two companies. I don't see him having the time unless he set some time aside just to do this.
Right, and it all makes sense that from a company aspect, and him being the CEO of two companies, that he really wouldn't have time to fully put his attention on any one of his products really. And I could definitely see him outsourcing it to another manufacturer to help him get this on the way. But the problem is, I think his numbers are skeptical as well, because if a rail system costs $70 billion, there's no way, at least in my opinion, in my mind, that this form of transportation would be so much lower in cost for this to get on the ground. So, because they said that you could reach different places like San Francisco to Los Angeles in 30 minutes. That's super fast if you guys don't know the geography of California. And to me, it's just going to take a lot more, because number one, someone has to prove its safety. Someone has to prove the ticket prices. That's the other thing. Yeah, if it costs that much, well, you know what? Things don't run if they're not profitable. So how much would a Hyperloop ticket from San Francisco to Los Angeles be? Would it be something that where it's so ridiculous that you're just like, you know what, I'll just take a plane and it's just going to take longer? Or, I'm not sure. Have you heard anything about the pricing point?
No, I haven't heard anything about the price point, but I did hear that it is supposed to be cheaper than a plane ticket, and it's supposed to be cheaper than driving, actually. But One thing to note is that Elon Musk wants this to be completely self-sufficient, meaning that it'll run under its own power. It'll create its own power and it'll run under it. So with how he's going to do that is he plans on putting solar panels across or on top of the tubing, actually, so it generates power. He said that it wouldn't. He's not going to put solar panels across the whole thing because it would generate way too much power for the system, and there would be nowhere to dump all of that energy.
Okay. And that sounds good. I can see with the above ground diagram of the solar panels being on the top, but what about it going underneath ground and across maybe international waters and things? How would that work? Do you think it'll be something where they just make it come out of the ground almost like a bridge system? Because you got to realize the bottom of the ocean isn't exactly 500 feet below the surface. So how do you think that would work? Do you think they would make some sort of underground tunneling system that would just go underneath the water and they can just keep water out on water pressure and things like that? And if so, how would they power that?
I think that on certain points of the land where it's not even like it should be for the tube, I think that they will have to go through ground or go over or underwater or what have you, whatever's in the way of the tubing. And but like I said before, the solar panels don't have to be on top of the whole thing to run it. It'll generate plenty enough power to run it during the day, with solar panels only being on top of it throughout certain points of where the tube is.
Okay, that sounds good. Now, wrapping up this particular subject, we're going to bring you guys a tech treat for today. So, Terrell, why don't you roll us right into the tech treat for this week?
Okay, my tech treat of the week is actually called ProTuber. Now, with ProTuber, it's basically a alternative YouTube application. You can watch your YouTube videos, you can log in and view all your subscriptions and do pretty much everything that you could do on the YouTube app. But one thing that I like about this, and this is what made me actually get it, is that you can choose the quality at which you want to play the videos at. You can choose between whatever quality the video is actually in. Now that works perfectly for me because there's a lot of times where I'm laying on the couch or something wanting to watch a YouTube video with the YouTube app, and I'm not able to because it's trying to load it in the highest quality. It's trying to load it in 1080p. I don't have a 1080p phone, so that's pointless. So it just helps me out a lot because I know I don't have a lot of bandwidth, and for some reason I have problems with YouTube on my network anyway. I have no idea why that is. I think it's YouTube because I've always had problems with them. But so what I usually do is when I want to play a YouTube video, I open up the app and I go to my subscriptions and then find a video and then start playing it, and then I'll switch it to 360 or 480p, and that still looks great on my phone. I don't have any quality issues. It doesn't look horrible or anything. Have you had a chance to play with this app yet?
I haven't had a chance to play with that particular app yet, but in note of everything that you've said, I've been in the same exact situation where I'm sitting somewhere and I just want to bring up a video real quickly, but the problem is it's trying to play the video in 1080p in the highest resolution that it can. Well, like you said, we both have iPhone 5s, but they're not 1080p phones. So the problem is, of course, slower load times and things like that. And I'm glad that you said something about having problems with the YouTube app, because I've had problems for a while, and I actually thought it was because maybe I'm running the beta version of iOS or maybe I was having bandwidth problems or something like that. But this isn't the first time that I've heard people had problems with their YouTube app, and this is why. But this particular app can definitely benefit a person that's watching, that wants to watch lower quality videos of a higher quality video to just make them run and pull up faster. So that's a good tech treat right there. Everybody, ProTuber, go get it. It's a good app, and Terrell personally has it. I don't have it yet, but I'm definitely going to try it tonight after this podcast and go from there. So basically, that's it for today. Tech Habit Weekly, episode 9, August 14th edition. For guys that have come in maybe late into the show, Bob CPU Kid Roach is actually off on vacation. That's why myself and our producer Terrell are covering this week. And, thanks you guys for watching. We're always here for you guys. I say this every week. I appreciate you guys. The subscriptions, the listeners, the followers on Twitter, things like that. I appreciate every single one of you guys, because we all have a habit of tech, and we want to bring it to you guys in the full front and right into your face and get those comments and concerns and questions. And this is a place where you can just, you can rant about Android and iOS and, your MacBook versus your, Samsung Ultrabook, or, so whatever your operating system or whatever thing you have, we welcome it here on this show. And I'd just like to thank everybody, Terrell, our producer, for getting everything together, even Bob CPU Kid Roach for everything that he does on his YouTube channel and everything. And we'll see you guys next week for Tech Habit Weekly. And guess what? And once again, I've got 99 problems, but tech ain't one. We'll see you guys next week.